everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 322, Week 1 Overreactions. Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. Hope you've enjoyed Week 1 of the NFL. Unfortunately, Sam enjoyed it so much with his Joe Burrow comeback, he had to take a vacation and leave us to cool down from all the Joe Burrow hotness. But I am Frank, joined just with Eddie today. Eddie, I'm surprised you're not also on vacation after that Niners near collapse. I thought maybe you'd need some rest and relaxation as well.
No, that's a classic move. Great move by the team. You're just, from a betting perspective, they're just making sure the line doesn't get too big for future matches. So that's a great move. And then also from a coaching standpoint, they're just skewing all of the, the data that the other teams will have on what they're going to do in certain situations and when they're vulnerable and what they can stop. Brilliant move. Just dominating the data and the win.
Did you bet Trey Lance to score a touchdown?
No. I mean, in all seriousness, though, that does suck if you did take the Niners minus the points.
To cover?
Yeah, I mean, that's that's a heartbreaking loss. If that, I apologize for anyone out there where that's your only loss of the weekend, then I'm just very sorry for you because you would have thought that was done and dusted with 2 minutes to go. It looked inconceivable that they weren't going to cover, let alone the entire game. They looked like they were going to cover.
I imagine that was not a lot of people's only loss because 9 underdogs won in week 1. I saw something, someone posted, if you put a $10 bet on all 9 of the underdogs just winning outright, it would have paid $36,000 for a $10 parlay. But I mean, and a lot of those underdogs were underdogs by the spread, but by no way without a chance, I guess, for most of them, you would say. The Raiders was a little surprising, I think, but the Cardinals, the Chargers, the Eagles, the Saints, they're underdogs, but they're all capable teams against who they were playing. So, but maybe we can get into some of the games in a little more detail. And obviously, I think the one we should start on is Browns Chiefs.
I got a question for you. Do you feel better or worse about the Browns after that game?
In terms of if I'm like a Browns fan?
If you're a Browns fan and just what you think their ceiling is for this season based on what you saw there. Because it basically comes down to, were you really impressed by their first half or even the first 3 quarters? Or were you so unimpressed by the final quarter that you just feel like they don't quite have it in them to beat a good team? Because you can go one of either two ways. They dominated that game for 75% of it. And their offense looked amazing for, let's say, at least 60% of it. And that's without Odell Beckham Jr. coming back into it at some point. But similar to the playoffs last year, when they really need a drive, when it's a really tough situation, they kind of just can't get it done. So are you focusing on how good things could be, or the concerns over can they come through in the clutch?
No, I mean, you have to take it as them progressing and getting better. I mean, let's look 2 years ago where this team was compared to now. I mean, you can't just. I understand Browns fans have been waiting forever for this, but even as a Brown fan, you have to step back and look at the larger picture. Whereas 2-3 years ago, you were still a 1-2 win team. And you can't just say we lost in the AFC divisional. Now we've already lost week 1. What's going on here? I mean, you almost beat the best team in the NFL probably. And I don't even see that as, I mean, they were right there, right? They could have won it. And I don't see that, I guess, the implosion in the second half so much on them as that's just the Chiefs to me. The Chiefs are just a team where sometimes they don't click for a quarter or two, and then boom, they just go off. Because if you look at the first half, the Chiefs, I think, had 2 drives in the red zone and kicked field goals on both of them. And that's always kind of what we've talked about this previously, that kind of they get these long touchdown passes, but then when they get into the red zone, they can't score. And I think if instead of kicking field goals in those red zones where they drive down and then stall, if they score touchdowns there, then, this game could have been a blowout even, or not as close as it was. But I mean, the Browns were able to hold them as much as they couldn't hold them enough, which most, if not all teams, the NFL can't do besides the Bucs. And one shitty punt, kind of screwed them. I think you have to be really optimistic. You're right there. I think they played that game better than when they played them last year in the playoffs. I think you've gotten closer. You're right there.
Oh, no. I mean, they should have. I think the difference is last year in the playoffs, they could have won. On Sunday, they should have won. Like, they will walk. And yeah, I agree. If you're on the team, you come away probably thinking, okay, we can go toe-to-toe with any team in the league now. Now, if you're the Chiefs, reverse this. Are you just concerned? I mean, their defense could give up 40, 50 points almost any Sunday. Like, is that serious cause for concern, no matter how good Mahomes and all those receivers can be? No.
No.
Not even worried?
No. I think you just have to – I think the only thing Andy Reid needs to do is fix this red zone trouble that he seems to have every season. And if they can get their red zone efficiency up to 75%, let a team score 30 because they'll score 35. Let a team score 35 and they'll score 40. It's the same thing we talk about every week. It's that whole concept of keeping your offense on the field to keep the Chiefs off the field. But at the end of the day, if the Chiefs can keep scoring touchdowns, it ain't going to matter. And I think as long as they correct that, I don't think they even care about their defense. If their defense gets them 2 turnovers, then I think they believe they can win any game.
Yeah. All right. So that's 2 probably sensible reactions to Browns and the Chiefs. What's your big overreaction from week 1? Because I have a couple.
I'm back on the Texans.
All right. So Sam's
Texans are a playoff team.
Sam's on a 1 week vacation to Mykonos, and you are on a 1 week vacation away from the Houston Texans.
No, I mean, I'll give you my overreaction is I think the Cardinals have a legitimate chance to make the Super Bowl on that side. That they looked strong. I mean, that is a playoff Titans team.
No.
So
there's my overreaction. Titans done. Throw them in the trash. The Titans are done. The Texans might make the playoffs because the Titans, awful. Dolphins Tannehill again. Turns out having a great running back, can't even punch it in from the 1 yard line, multiple attempts. What good does that do you?
Yeah, I mean, I watched most of the Cards game, but they just looked – their defense now has gotten better. Chandler Jones looked unstoppable. J.J. Watt helped him out in being unstoppable because he pulled some linemen on him. When you couple that with how good Murray looked, that could be a dangerous team. Their only problem is that they're in the toughest division. If they're in the NFC East, they're flying into the playoffs. They could rest their players the last 4 weeks of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that, yeah. Anyone from the NFC West. I mean, look, the NFC West and the AFC West, they all won their games. It's a kind of crazy opening to those 2 divisions. I think,
and the NFC North, everyone lost.
Yeah. I haven't changed my opinion on the Cardinals, which my view on the Cardinals is when they're good, they're great. But when they're bad, they're awful. And we're going to see them 8 to 10 times this year where Kyler Murray's just running around in the backfield. It looks impossible. I mean, the thing is, right, when he takes off to run sometimes, I don't know how you stop him as a defense. He's just like kind of, it's a design pass play. He's just in the backfield there. Suddenly you haven't got pressure on him within, a second, and then he's taken off for 15 yards. He's gone. Yeah. Untouched, just running to the sidelines. And I just don't know what you do. But then the reverse of that is they have games where they look absolutely terrible. We saw that last year. I think overall they're fun to watch. I'll watch most of their games. I would definitely stay away from them from any survivor pool picks, because you know what's going to happen. They're going to be like 10-point favorites against a team at some point in this season, and they're just going to lose. It's going to happen.
Jags in 2 weeks.
Yeah, probably. Perfect. Yeah. Excellent example of what could happen.
How about Chargers? Were you impressed with the Chargers being able to actually win a close game now? Have they broken that tipping point where now they're winning instead of losing those close games?
No, I mean, they beat a
Washington
without Fitzpatrick. Like, you know, I'm not going to say that was an amazing win. You know, they beat a team that might make the playoffs, maybe. And again, the only reason Washington will make the playoffs is because of how weak their division is. If you stuck Washington into 70% of the divisions, they're not even contending for the playoffs. But yeah, it's just good win.
Fitzmagic out with a hip injury. Could there be any like more stereotypical injury that a 37-year-old quarterback could get than a hip injury?
I mean, I guess a back injury is a little bit more, but yeah.
He's going to be on the field with one of those walkers with the little tennis balls on the bottom, just kind of going through the plays. That's going to be his walkthroughs.
Yeah. But
he's quirky.
I'll
give you
okay, go ahead.
I was going to give you a good overreaction game. Saints-Packers.
I don't know if I can overreact to it because, look, we all picked the Packers, but said kind of worried about the Saints because they might have had a major upgrade at the quarterback position. And, I mean, Winston didn't have to do a lot. He was very efficient through 5 touchdown passes, but he really didn't have to do a lot against that Packers team to beat them.
He had some nice deep balls, though.
Yeah. I mean, look, maybe this is the overreaction. I'm already willing to say that's a major upgrade on Drew Brees.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, even they asked Brees, and his quote, he had a pretty good quote. He goes, I guess apparently this is what the Saints have been missing on his ability to throw the deep ball.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I don't know how to feel about the Packers. I don't know whether I fully expect that they just have bad games in them, too. They're just one of those teams. Rodgers has days where he just looks like he'd rather be anywhere else other than playing football, which is probably true. And Sunday, he was not interested. And you could see it, and they were awful.
Well, you were right about Rodgers having a bad performance. So his passer rating was 32.8. If he just took every snap and just threw it right into the dirt, his passer rating would have been 39.6. So his passer rating was lower than if he just took it and just spiked every ball. That's how bad it was. Another really good fact I saw was he turned it over in the red zone. It was his first red zone interception since week 6 of 2019. He had thrown 45 touchdowns before or after his last INT before this one. So that's a pretty crazy stat.
I thought that there was the
45 touchdowns in the red zone.
They brought up that stat during the Browns game, right? Mahomes has never thrown an interception in September. That's kind of crazy.
Unreal.
Like,
it's they put up the stat line, and it's just an unreal stat line.
What is something
it
like 38
13 and 0.
Yeah,
38 touchdowns. 35, 38 touchdowns, no interceptions. That's insane. But I wanted to go back to the Niners.
No. Before we do that, the Packers.
Okay.
I almost feel more confident that the Packers will win their division than I do about any other team winning their division after Sunday, even though they lost. If you can wrap your head around what I'm trying to say. I don't come out from the NFC West feeling like I have any better idea who will win. I mean, I think the Chiefs will win their division, but it wouldn't. I feel like the Packers need to win. It feels like the NFC East last year. The Packers need to win 8 games to win that division, maybe?
Yeah.
Assuming that those 8 games are divisional. That's the only asterisk you have to add there. Because if they win 8 out of division games, they might be in trouble. But if they beat the Vikings twice, beat the Bears twice, it's over.
No, I agree with you. A 7-win team could definitely win that division from what the other teams looked like. I mean, the Vikings, we called that. I mean, they just continue to be the Vikings. It's just so frustrating that they're just, I don't get how they just can't be better. It's like one of those teams. It's like, how are you not better?
They're the other side of the coin of the Cardinals, but the bad version of the Cardinals, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
The Cardinals' ceiling is super high, and more often than not, they're pretty good. The Vikings' sort of base floor is really low, and more often than not, they're probably subpar. And they're kind of the opposite versions of them of each other, but at the same time, the Vikings could beat the Cardinals. Like, it's one of those things.
Well, I'm really happy you said that, Eddie, because next week 2, Cardinals Vikings.
No, I mean, it wouldn't. Again,
that's a Vikings win.
Oh, by 21 points. Kirk Cousins throws for 500 yards. Kyler Murray fumbles a couple times. They're just, the Vikings are wide open. Their run game looks great. Suddenly everyone's talking about how they have 2 incredible wide receivers. This offense is going to be so explosive. And then the following week they'll lose again.
But good start for the Bengals. Good performance, I think, for Burrow coming back off an injury. Didn't get demolished too much. No interceptions, no turnovers. Got the win.
Yeah. I still think maybe a bad week for the Bengals, though, too. Because, I mean, I don't know what expectations are if you're a Bengals fan. It's probably not making the playoffs. But the fact that the Steelers won, it kind of ends any hope they have in a way, because the only way they were going to get in contention was if the Steelers were terrible. And the Ravens the bottom fell out of the Ravens in the way that it kind of feels like it could do due to injury this year. And that's the only, but the Steelers have just picked up, a major win that suddenly changes their prospects. I mean, I know you hate the Steelers. I know going into that game, I warned people, Steelers, Bills, maybe it's a game you just want to watch in week 1, that who knows what can happen. But
yeah,
Steelers look pretty good.
Now, is that game a indication of a really good Steelers defense or a Bills offense that just wasn't ready?
I'd say a bit of both. I think that Steelers defense is really, really good. I mean, like, the Steelers defense is always pretty good, and we always know they're going to be super well coached. They're just, you go into the season and you know these things about them. And they got some luck, right, with the punt block. So whenever you get a big special teams play, it has a significant impact on the outcome of a game, because it just feels like a free play, basically. Same with the Browns against the Chiefs. Yes, you can have good special teams, but there's more luck than skill involved in that happening. And that changed the game completely. But I think their defense...
I mean, I'm not sold on the Steelers still.
I think
that offense looked bad.
I think they
250 total yards.
I think they are exactly what we knew they were. They're going to be... Their defense is pretty good. Their offense can make plays, but is not explosive. And if the game stays tight... I mean, I still say I trust Big Ben in a close fourth quarter. So they're not going to win the Super Bowl, but they're probably going to, and they're going to lose to some bad teams. I don't know. They're playing the Raiders this week, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to show my hand before we make our picks or anything, and this genuinely isn't, but that game scares me. Because that could just be the Steelers coming right back down to earth in a game that everyone is now penciling them in as winning.
Well, are they, though? Because after last night, that was probably the game of the week in terms of back and forth.
It was the ending of the week, for sure. Crazy ending, crazy overtime.
Fourth quarter, even the fourth quarter was crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that Carr was able to get them down to field goal range with 30 seconds and no timeouts.
That was terrible defense from the Ravens, though.
Terrible.
I mean, they just gave up 15, 20 yards on consecutive plays, just like sitting deep. It was as if they were so terrified of the touchdown that they forgot that a field goal was going to tie the game. And and also it forgot as if they thought they were playing football in like 1998 and not realizing that field goal kickers regularly hit 55-yard field goals.
He drilled that 55-yard field goal. That could have been good from 75.
Yeah. But I mean, you know what I mean? I think sometimes coaches, and I get it maybe because when they were playing or when they were coming up through football, if you told them this guy's going to hit a 55-yard field goal to tie the game, they would be like, okay, 95% chance we win. Whereas now it's like, at best, call it 50-50, even if they don't have a great field goal kicker.
Yeah, I mean, for those who maybe fell asleep because that was a pretty late game, you had Lamar Jackson drive down the field, what looked like the game-winning drive. They kicked the field goal. Then Carr gets the ball back 30 seconds, drives down the field, kicks the field goal. Carr doesn't, but Carlson kicks the field goal to tie it up with no time left. And then you go into overtime, and the Raiders score. Everyone comes on the field, congratulates each other. Jackson and Carr shake hands. Then they go, oh, wait, we need to review this because all touchdowns need to be reviewed. They call back the touchdown, and then Carr throws. I don't think it was a bad throw. The announcer said that it was too fast of a ball, but it went right through the guy's hands. I mean, right through him. It wasn't like the guy, he just put his hands up. The spot was perfect. Throws the interception in the end zone. It must have, that was so classic Raiders when I watched that. I thought then Lamar Jackson was going to drive down the field and end it. But then they get the ball back, go to kick a field goal, and the field goal kicker is on the other side and isn't paying attention. Get a delay a game, push it back too far that they don't feel comfortable kicking the field goal, and then instead just throw a touchdown on the next play, and the Raiders win. That was crazy.
Also, I mean, what was the Ravens defense doing on the game-winning touchdown?
All out blitz.
But
which
I mean,
I don't get.
Even the secondary. I mean, they just all out blitz is one thing, but when you have a guy, I mean, but yeah, good game. I don't know
now, I haven't seen it, but I know it's out there. The two fantasy people, or actually you could do three fantasy people for that. One, the guy who had the kicker and just needed him to kick the field goal to win and doesn't get it. Two, the guy who's playing against either Derek Carr or the guy who caught the touchdown and now loses because the kicker wasn't there. And three, the guy who had the Ravens defense and led up the touchdown at the end. I can see this, like, so many annoying tweets about this.
Yeah, especially considering
from that delay of game.
I could maybe listen to it if it was fantasy playoffs, but yeah, week one is a hard one. Now, I've got a topic that I want to. You said you wanted to say something about the Niners actually before I bring mine up.
Well, I guess actually be more like the rookie QBs. So first you had Trey Lance, the wonderkind, throw his, to quote a Ted Lasso, wonder kid, throw a touchdown on his first pass. How many other quarterbacks have thrown a touchdown in their first NFL regular season appearance? So not preseason.
Okay, I thought you were going to say first NFL pass. I was like,
first NFL pass is a touchdown.
Their first ever pass attempt.
Yes. So Trey Lance, his first ever pass attempt was a touchdown. How many other QBs have done that?
0.
Ooh, no, Eddie, I'm sorry. You're missing one that you definitely know, and I know you know.
I know.
So the key word is throw a touchdown on their first pass.
Okay. So this is like a kicker? Is it?
No. But interception, pick six is a touchdown.
So who's
the famous QB who did that? We've talked about it on the podcast before.
Peyton Manning?
Brett Favre.
Oh, yeah.
So in total, now including Trey Lance, there have been 7 quarterbacks to throw a touchdown on their first pass, which is way more than I thought it'd be. Brett Favre threw a pick 6. Michael Bishop threw a 44-yard Hail Mary for the Patriots. Matt Ryan threw a 67-yard Hail Mary. Jameis Winston threw a pick six. How fitting for Jameis Winston. Sam Darnold threw a pick six. How fitting for Sam Darnold. And David Blau threw a 75-yard Hail Mary touchdown pass. And now Trey Lance has joined that exclusive club. So I thought that was pretty interesting. The other rookie QB that I thought had some interesting facts was Trevor Lawrence. So obviously the Jags did not look very good against my team, the Texans. And Trevor Lawrence threw 3 interceptions in that game. That's the first time in his entire career, including high school and college, he's ever thrown 3 interceptions. It's also the first time Trevor Lawrence has ever had a losing record in his career.
And the first time he's ever lost a regular season game, right?
Yeah. At least for college. And
No, in high
Urban
school.
Meyer.
He never lost a regular season game in high school. He's only ever lost in the playoffs before, up until now.
Yep. And Urban Meyer, that was the first time he's ever lost a season opener. Before this, he was 16-0 in college in season openers.
I mean, part of it probably good to just get out of the way. I mean, it's
oh, they're gonna go 16-1.
Well, they did the reverse last year, right? They won their opening game and then they never won again. But I think, I mean, it's in their interest to maybe be bad one more time. Like they're yes, they got Trevor Lawrence, but the team needs a lot more than Trevor Lawrence. So you'd be secretly a little bit pleased if you're there as Urban Meyer and maybe seeing this as a 5-year project. I think you want to be bad for the first 2 so that you can be really, really good for the final 2.
Is that what Joe Judge is doing with the Giants?
Yeah, exactly. So he's thinking, it's chess checkers with him. But I have
it's tough to stop Teddy Bridgewater. He's such an electric QB.
Well, speaking of Daniel Jones, then I got a question that's a little bit inspired by Sam Monson from Pro Football Focus. His question was, name a starting quarterback. Who's the youngest NFL starting quarterback that Tom Brady will outlast?
So outlast like in life?
Probably all of them, to be fair. But I mean, they'll be out of the NFL. Who started week 1, they will be out of the NFL before Tom Brady is.
Started week 1?
Yeah.
It has to be a young QB?
No,
any QB.
What's the youngest? Because I'd say, he's going to outlast Ben Roethlisberger, right? Roethlisberger is retiring at the end of this season.
Andy Dalton.
Yeah. So, although Andy Dalton will probably hang around I'm not sure I would say Dalton, because he'll hang around as a backup.
As a backup. Okay.
So Roethlisberger for sure. Does he outlast Daniel Jones? Is Daniel Jones the type of player who people just give up on? Does he get a starting job somewhere else? Is he a backup?
If he's not on the Giants next season or starting on the Giants, he is not starting anywhere else. I mean, either he has a decent year this year and the Giants extend his option and keep him the starter, or they cut their losses and he's a career backup.
But you think he can be a backup? Because the other category, right, is, he started for a while but you need someone to think, we want him to be the backup.
I mean, isn't Dwayne Haskins still a backup on the Steelers?
Yeah, but that's just because he's got the same interests as Big Ben. He's a chemistry guy at the Steelers.
It's probably one of the better guesses.
I think Daniel Jones, if you were going to go for broke, is the move, because I can't think of anyone like Jimmy Garoppolo will almost certainly be gone from the Niners at the end of this year, but he's going to get a starting gig somewhere else, assuming he has a pretty good year this year. Someone is going to decide that it's worth having Jimmy Garoppolo around. even if it's just as someone to be there until they land their next sort of potential superstar rookie quarterback.
Yeah. I
Like
wish
Jimmy
you asked me this last week. I would have said Cam Newton.
Yeah, Newton would have been an interesting one. Like, does he
I would
outlast? Does
say
he outlast
I don't.
Fitzpatrick?
Yeah, probably. I mean, with this hip injury, this could be Fitzpatrick's last year. But then again, Fitzpatrick's what, 36, 37? So he's not very young. I mean, I think maybe Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, he could be a backup for life.
He's a
But
backup for life.
yeah.
Yeah. Because
I could see Daniel Jones being the type of guy that gets cut by the Giants and then gets picked up by another team for like a year and then it's just gone.
I think Daniel Jones could be he's like Josh Rosen.
Yeah. He's a slightly better Josh Rosen.
Yeah. Where he got more of a chance than Rosen did. I do like those pictures that they show of Josh Rosen in college where he just looks like life is going great, and then now they show him with like the beard. He looks kind of haggard and stuff.
Yeah.
And they just like the NFL has destroyed his life. Not that that's amusing, right? But kind of is.
Now, I guess I always think about this with Josh Rosen because the criticism on him coming out of college was he doesn't need to be a QB. His family's really wealthy. He has other like interests. He can do something else with his life. And that was a criticism was, is he super invested in putting in a decades plus worth of work to be an NFL QB? Now, has this been proven right? Or was he just put in a really, really shitty situation and then again in a shitty situation and then again in a shitty situation?
I think, yeah, the shitty situation bit. Also, statistically, you're going to fail. You know, like most first round draft picks, quarterbacks fail. Like,
but he's failed bad.
He has, spectacularly. I don't believe in the motivation thing because your family's wealthy, because by that logic, Tom Brady has retired. You know what I mean? Like, there's no reason.
Maybe Giselle's got like a major Amazon buying problem.
They could nearly buy
she's just
Amazon.
Getting like, she's just getting shares of Amazon shipped every day.
And I know that, yeah, okay, the mentality, it's. I know the counter argument to what I've just said is someone would say, well, Tom Brady grew up wanting it. The desire was always there. And even though things around him have changed, he's kept the same mentality. Like the fact that he still has the Brady Six and he's got a chip on his shoulder about people constantly not believing in him. Whereas Rosen's grown up knowing, even if I fail at this, life's going to be okay, right? And then it's like, well, I failed, but life's still okay. I still think to get to the level he got to, you must have liked the sport and you had to work hard. Because he's not. This is controversial, right? If he was Lamar Jackson, if Lamar Jackson's athletic ability had been Josh Rosen, and then he'd had Josh Rosen's background, and then he'd failed, and then you could have said, well, the pure athletic talent got him to college, and then he just didn't have it in him to keep working to succeed in the NFL. But in order for Josh Rosen to succeed in high school and in college, he needed to be putting in some effort to understand defenses and to work on his mechanics.
His raw talent just isn't as good as other players.
Yeah, so I don't buy it. But look, maybe it means he's less motivated to be someone's backup. And I can get that. For him to think, my dream was to be starting in the NFL. Okay, I can't do that, but I got closer than most people did. And they can all go suck it for them laughing at me and saying I failed miserably because they played 0 snaps in the NFL. But okay, failed at that. I can go be successful at something else and live a different.
Who knows? In 2 years, you might go into a business meeting and Josh Rosen could be on the other side of the table.
I'd love that. I'd win that negotiation. I'd just rent space in his head during that meeting.
So, any other takeaways from the NFL?
I don't.
How about the Rams?
The Rams
that was impressive.
I think the Bears are terrible. The Rams look
but
good.
that offense, Stafford with that, I mean, come on, first throw,
Sure.
50-yard
Yeah,
bomb.
but
That was such a sticking it to Goff. I wish McVay just gave like the double points to the camera. It was right to Goff on that one.
just
This
bring
is what you
Goff's face
couldn't do,
up
buddy.
on the scoreboard. Look, we knew. Look, I also think there's going to be a Stafford love fest. And Bill Barnwell, much maligned on this podcast, right? But he made the good point of everyone's suddenly talking as if Matthew Stafford has never had a weapon before in his life, and he played 7 years with Calvin Johnson. Like, let's not pretend that this guy got through his career playing with complete scrubs the whole time. He had a couple of years with the Lions where they were terrible, but he actually, for most of his career, was on a pretty good Lions team when it came to offensive talent. The Rams are going to be good, but I still have the concerns about the Rams. There's two big concerns. One is their defense, which occasionally they just get involved in huge shootouts, and then who knows what's going to happen. Even when they were super good that a few years ago, that was their problem. Then the second one is, I mean, Bill Belichick completely shut down their offense in the Super Bowl. And
that was without Stafford.
It was the, well-oiled machine going into the Super Bowl that people thought, oh, if the Patriots are going to win this, it's going to be a shootout. And then it was like, no, they're just never going to score. And that worries me a little bit.
So for you, still Chiefs, Niners, Super Bowl after week 1?
My opinion on those two teams didn't change much. Okay.
Are you worried that the Niners are already accumulating injuries?
No, it just goes with the territory. My opinion went up. If I did not a real power ranking, but the Browns moved up, the Steelers moved up, the Bills moved a little down, the Packers moved down, but I wasn't super high on them anyway.
Yeah.
The Patriots moved a little down for me, just because I did come into it maybe thinking that their defense was going to be elite, and that Mac Jones was going to be pretty good, and their running game was going to be good. Now, they should have won that game, and the Dolphins are not.
I mean, Mac Jones was decent.
He was decent.
I thought he played pretty well.
He was decent.
He's the next Alex Smith.
Maybe. I mean,
hopefully without the injury. I don't wish that upon anyone.
But yeah, no, he was. They were all right, right? They should have won, but I guess I'm a little bit up on the Eagles, who looked better than I thought they would. Down on the Falcons.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of up on the Cowboys. I thought they looked better than I thought they would.
And down,
they gave the Bucs a run.
I'm a little down on the Bucs.
Yeah,
but then the Bucs took a while to get going last year too, and their regular season, the Bucs actually weren't always that impressive, and then just in the playoffs, they were a machine.
Because Tom Brady cares.
Yeah,
not that he doesn't care in the regular season, but he really cares.
And also, they're really old, right? So they across the board, they're old. So I'm sure, in a sense, in team meetings, sometimes they say to themselves, "Like, let's just third gear for the regular season. Worst case scenario, we're 10 wins, and we probably still win our division, but maybe even we're a wild card. But if we're healthy going into the playoffs, we think we can beat anyone." It's probably the mindset.
Yeah. If again, we don't do our power rankings or anything, but for me, the two biggest movers up and down would be, I think, the Cardinals moving up. I was impressed against a playoff team from 2 years in a row, playoff team, just took it to them, and the Bills going down. It could be an overreaction. Maybe it was just a blip, but that was a very bad looking offense that last year was way better than that. That was a digression for that offense.
Yeah. I'm still reserving judgment, but the Bills could. I mean, if the Bills lose this week, they'll probably be again saved by their division. But
they play the Dolphins next week, so
right,
a game they should win, but a game they could lose.
But if they're 0-2 and the Dolphins are 2-0, then you start to think this could go south very quickly. Now, there wasn't too much to discuss from the Premier League this weekend, aside from the fact that Cristiano Ronaldo continues to just write his own scripts for his life, and of course, scored on his debut twice.
He is, I think, perhaps on the level of Tom Brady in the not just being a gamer, but being like a big game gamer, if you see what I'm saying. Like when it's that big stage game or that big stage moment, he just seems to do it, just like Brady. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, he didn't score in his third game with United. He scores in the first game, he comes back at United and scores two. You know what I mean? Like Champions League, they're down, they need a goal. He's the guy who scores it to push them into the finals. I mean, it's just, I was going to ask you, is he the Brady of European football in terms of like that ability to be a gamer? Like, is there anyone else you want with the game on the line? Do you take like Messi, Mbappe, Neymar?
Definitely not. I think the comparison.
Kane.
I think
Lewandowski.
I mean, arguably, maybe.
Yeah.
I think the best comparison, obviously, between the two of them, maybe, is their ability to have kept themselves seemingly having no physical deterioration. I mean, the big claim to fame, right, is when, I mean, he's got a lot of them, but when Ronaldo did his medical to sign for Juventus, the doctors and the physios that did his medical checkup said that he had the body of a 20-year-old. Which, I mean, he's a professional athlete, right? But they're comparing him to other professional, like they're not comparing him to the average 20-year-old. They're comparing him to 20-year-old professional athletes who signed for them. And he was 34 then, I think. So now he's, or 33. Yeah, I think he was there for 3 seasons. So, and also, right, his diet, he supposedly immediately had an impact on other Manchester United players. There's been talk coming out that they've seen how he eats, and now the other players are trying to switch to that. They've all stopped eating dessert because he doesn't eat dessert.
I thought you meant like the way he eats. No. Like he only eats with his hands. He doesn't use knives and forks. Now the whole team's just eating like cavemen.
No, just the actual meals he has. So they've all supposedly given up on dessert. And that was a big argument for signing him, right? Was the influence he can have on younger players in terms of showing them how to be the best professional they could be. I think he might be worth that money in that alone. But
I think United have the team for that as well. Like there can be some young players that would pull the I don't give a shit about him, like the Jamie Tart. You know, like I don't give a shit about him. He's old, he's washed up. But I feel like Rashford, Greenwood, they're the type of players that do look to the older players and will try and emulate what he's doing.
Yeah, and look, it was cool. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a Manchester United supporter. I don't really care even that much about Cristiano Ronaldo. But his return was cool. It was good to see how it clearly meant a lot to him. And then also it meant a lot to the Manchester United fans. I do find it a little bit weird that they embraced some aspects of things that he did elsewhere, like the Sue celebration. You know, they like get really into that, but that's something he kind of developed post first United stint. But no, it was fun. And then obviously he scored today, 13 minutes into his Champions League reappearance with United, but then they went on to lose to Young Boys. But
the only other question I had about that is, with Ronaldo in that lineup, do they have the best front six now in the Premier League? I mean,
probably.
it is nasty.
No, probably. I think that's fair.
I mean, that lineup on Saturday: Ronaldo, Sancho, Bruno Fernandes, Greenwood, Pogba, and Matic.
Yeah, and you've got Rashford on the bench.
Yeah,
you've got, you know, they're like, we're forgetting Martial on the bench. Yeah, I think attacking options, they are the strongest now. The question is defensively. which obviously Wan-Bissaka got himself sent off today.
Yeah,
Kind of
not
question marks there. No, not a good way to make an impression and try and he's trying to cement his place in the United team, but also possibly get himself back into the discussion to play for England. When you're playing in, England have more right backs than they know what to do with, literally. And based on the fact that they play one of them in midfield sometimes just so he can get game time. But no, they definitely have the best attacking options. I still think City won the league, though.
Yeah, I think Ronaldo at least make it a little interesting now.
Now, I've got a question for you, which Sam, if he had been here, probably would have had a better chance of answering correctly. But Chelsea, after their win against Aston Villa on Saturday, became the second team in Premier League history to reach 600 wins. The first being Manchester United, who have 690 wins in the history of the Premier League. Can you name the top 5? So who do you think is in third?
Can I get one clue here? I have a specific question.
Yeah.
Are they all currently in the Premier League?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. None of them have ever. So the Premier League started in 1992. None of them have obviously been relegated because to amass that number of wins, they've been there every year.
Shit.
That was actually a bigger clue than I meant it to be.
Yeah. I still don't know if I can get it though. I'll throw Sam a bone. Is Arsenal one?
Arsenal are third.
Right.
And they're third. They're on 598 wins. So Chelsea have well, maybe next season, but Chelsea have stormed.
No, they're gonna get relegated. Maybe 2-3 seasons from now.
Never come back. Just stuck on like 599. But if you think about it, so that means they started the season on 597, and it means that they would have been way ahead of Chelsea, say 6 months ago. They would have been, if you'd done the bet on which is the next Premier League team to reach 600 wins, they would have been overwhelming favorites, and they've just fallen apart.
That's so good. Okay. I'm going to say Chelsea.
No, Chelsea are second.
Oh, okay, that's right. Yeah.
So United are first, Chelsea are second.
Liverpool.
Liverpool are fourth with 583 wins.
Part of me wants to go recency bias and go City. But they haven't been that dominant for that long. Who else could it be, though? Spurs? I'll go City.
So, the clue I inadvertently gave, which was they've all been in the Premier League for its entire existence.
City wasn't,
rolled
right?
out City. Yeah, they were.
So it's got to be Spurs.
3 divisions. Then. It was Spurs. Well, it is Spurs. Spurs with 483 wins. So it's a 100 win gap between them and Liverpool, which is a gap you have to expect will only grow.
Yeah, I should have known that with that clue. I would not have thought Chelsea was second. But I guess that makes sense. Good for them. Good for Lukaku, who also scored a brace.
Yeah, I mean, they had their dominant period under Mourinho, right? So they would have racked up early 2000s. They would have racked up a lot of wins, and they've never been bad during the Premier League. They were mid-table and stuff. That they've never had a period where they were awful for a few seasons.
That's not bad then. So you had Sam, Ollie, and Furlong will all be appeased.
Yes. Yeah, true. And Jake.
And Jake. Forgot about our United fan.
Have to go a long way to reach Blackburn, though. But, no. Other big news from the weekend of sport,
Tennis,
where
right? Come on.
tennis, yeah,
The
or
Grand
two
Slam
aspects of the
dream is
tennis.
over.
Yeah, Medvedev comprehensively beat Djokovic in the final. It wasn't that surprising after how, I mean, Djokovic went through the ringer against Zverev in the semifinal. That was a bad sign for him.
God, Zverev just, I don't know how he didn't win that. I watched most of that, and he's just, he gets in his own head so bad. It's unreal.
Yes. Yeah. But not that surprising. And Medvedev has kind of now put himself, he's the heir apparent, I think, now, as the next kind of next generation of players.
How old is
We've
he
got
again?
him. So Medvedev is 25. Zverev is 24.
And
And
Tsitsipas
team is 28.
and Tsitsipas is 23.
Yeah. So.
And Rublev is 23 too, if you consider him on that level.
On the women's side of things, you had a final with two teenagers, fundamentally unheard of, both of them. Although Raducanu, the British teenager, she'd had her good run in Wimbledon, and then had also got a lot of attention for when she withdrew, which we discussed on the podcast at the time, when she pulled out of the match when she was losing, and then a number of people commented on the fact that she wasn't mentally tough enough. She's then gone through qualifiers to make the US Open, and then won the US Open without dropping a set, which is really amazing. At the same time, I think people need to pump the brakes. Some of the British media in the reaction to it have already started as crowning her. I mean, talking about heir apparent, they've basically decided she is the next big thing in tennis. And yes, the fact that she didn't drop a set and did dominate all of her opponents, super impressive. At the same time, she had a little bit like the England football team, she had a pretty good draw. Now,
unlike the England football team, she finished.
She won. She also, unlike the England football team, didn't come into it as one of the favorites. She was 400 to 1 at the beginning of the tournament to win. She said she booked her original flight home for after round 1.
Oof.
So she didn't have a lot. Yeah, so yeah, that prize money probably all went on fees adjusting after every round. She's probably got a huge bill to British Airways or something. But my bigger takeaway there has been, she is British, but she's an immigrant. She was born in Canada. She has parents who are Romanian and Chinese, I believe. And it's a great representation of, again, like when we spoke about the England football team, the diversity of the country, and the fact that being British doesn't mean you're just a white male. However, I feel a little bit uncomfortable with people using her as a little bit of a poster child for why immigration is a good thing. Not that she's an example of why it's not a good thing, but I feel, as someone who's all in favor of accepting more refugees and more immigrants, I think it sets a slightly dangerous precedent to hold up the example of, look, it's good because we get professional athletes out of it. And that's not the reason why you should want immigration in your country, is because your sports teams become better. The same, I even feel like that when people say, like with Steve Jobs, right? And they'll be like, oh, look, unwanted son of a Syrian man goes on to found the world's largest company. It's like, that's our reasons for accepting immigrants. Accepting seems like a loaded term, but isn't because the best of the best. Yeah, it's because it's morally the right thing to do for them and for the world. It's not because, well, one of them might win an Olympic gold medal a few years from now, so we'll just play the odds, and then we'll start thinking, well, where should we take them from? Because where are we more likely to get either scientists or doctors or Olympic gold medalists? I mean,
I think partly that side is a good argument, where if you have people who are just brilliant, ingenious, smart, whatever you want to say, and you can put them in a better situation where they can then use that and be successful and advance the world and advance humanity, then obviously that is a good reason to have it. But I agree with you. The other big reason should be from a moral standpoint to give everyone an equal opportunity to have a healthy, successful life is obviously the main thing you want to see out of it. But like the athlete is the lowest of the low of the benefit argument. Like Steve Jobs is greatly above having
he created
someone
jobs.
help win.
I mean, he created real jobs.
Yeah.
And we get a little bit of pleasure out of watching her play tennis, but she's not changing the world. I mean, apart from inspiring people, and that's obviously the dangerous one, I'm sure. But yeah, I agree with you there. But it just it doesn't sit well with me. And again, I say that as someone who's all in favor of immigration, and it gets, immigration and accepting refugees on the back of what's happening in Afghanistan is a hot topic at the moment politically. And some people are trying to use this as an example of, well, this is why we should accept them. The stronger argument for why we should accept Afghan refugees is we spent 20 years just destroying their country. So that's why we should take them, not because one of them might be good at hitting a ball 18 years from now.
I actually had 2 questions for you about her win. One, you said there's been a lot of talk about her being the next greatest thing. Does this feel kind of like a Sloane Stephens situation, who also won the US Open, was then proclaimed to kind of almost be the next Serena Williams, and not that she has fallen off a cliff or hasn't done that great, but she's never reached that height that people initially thought she was going to when she first won that US Open?
I think the list of young, talented female tennis players who win a Grand Slam or 2 and then go on to do very little, it is a long, long list. I mean, if we look back through recent years, you had Sophia Kenin, who won the Australian Open in 2020. Okay, she's kind of hanging around sometimes in tournaments, but pretty much done nothing. You had Swiatek, who again has got to the later stages of tournaments. She was the favorite at one moment to win the French Open, but done very little. Going further back in time where you can judge it more accurately, there was Ostapenko, who won the French Open in 2017, and that's the same year that Sloane Stephens won the US Open. So you had 2 young players both winning their first and now only Grand Slams, and at the time people thought each one of them was going to be a kind of unstoppable force in their own respect. It's the nature of women's tennis over the past few years is that aside from Serena Williams and a handful of other players, the other players who have won have all been under 22 and then have never won anything again. So maybe she bucks the trend. Maybe she is the next big thing in women's tennis, but I don't think winning a tournament in which most of the big names were knocked out, either withdrew or were knocked out by someone else, I'm not yet willing to say, okay, she's going to be... and she looked really good. She's got a lot of power in her game for someone who you wouldn't, by looking at her, think that she would. She's got a very nice serve. So she has the makings of being someone who could dominate it, but I would reserve judgment. I want to see her do it. Let's see over the next 2 years what she manages to do.
Now, my other question for you was, when we talked about the Olympics, you quite openly mocked the skateboarding Olympics because teenagers were dominating and winning the medals. What does 2 teenagers in the finals of the US Open for women's tennis, what kind of perception does that give you for the sport of women's tennis?
Not a good one, personally, unless, again, both of them go on to And they might do. This might be the start of a new generation. But
Do you think maybe it was
the
just an off US Open where a lot of the top players weren't either competing or weren't really in it? It's just a
so I
fluke.
think so you have obviously the players who have maybe been most dominant in recent years coming to several of them coming towards the back end or the very end of their career in Serena Williams, Simona Halep, Ashley Barty, the kind of Muguruza from earlier on. Osaka, obviously, she was the big one, the surprising one to get knocked out in the way that she did. I I feel like there's the risk here that this is going to be the post Serena Williams void, and that for a few years, women's tennis might have to go through a period where there might not be any standout players. And a little bit with golf, I think the men's golf game is a fair comparison. There was like the post Tiger Woods where every once in a while, someone would win a couple and you start to feel like, okay, now Rory McIlroy is going to go on to be the next big thing. And then his career fell off a cliff. And then it's like, oh no, Jordan Spieth is going to go on and be the next big thing. Then his career falls off a cliff. And then Brooks Koepka, he's going to go on and be the next big thing. And then he just became more obsessed with trolling Bryson DeChambeau than he did about actually winning golf tournaments.
He found a better career.
Exactly. I feel a little bit like the women's tennis game is in that same position that the men's golf game has been in for the past decade. And you just have to be patient and wait for, but again, that's not, either one of these two players might go on to be that person. But I would say it's more likely that we don't hear a lot from them. This also feels awful, right? And I don't know how I would react if I won a major at a Grand Slam at 18. I'm a little bit concerned that she seems to be enjoying the limelight, maybe more. And this is such dangerous ground because I know that people will say, you're kind of you're just taking shots at someone's success, and why shouldn't they enjoy the fact that something incredible has happened and it's the best moment
Eddie,
of
why
their
shouldn't
life?
they enjoy it?
They should, but I just don't know. When Rafael Nadal won his first French Open, I don't know if he followed it up by taking pictures of himself in front of his photo in Times Square. Obviously, that would be weird after the French Open, or attending the Met Gala, though. But I also need to see from her that it's not a sort of Anna Kournikova situation where a little bit of the fame and attention comes a little too fast, a little too soon, and all of a sudden waking up in the morning to hit 1,000 backhands isn't nearly as fun as going to a photo shoot and going out partying. And I don't blame her because I chose the going out partying, and I didn't have the option of the photo shoot and the 1,000 backhands. But
I mean, you never know though, because I feel as if we're in a different generation now where your image and your brand is so important that a lot of that could just be her trying to build her brand. And maybe she is, I mean, we don't know. I'm going to go on the assumption that she's still going and hitting 1,000 backhands and at the same time is trying to build her brand. So that whole thing with athletes now doesn't bother me when people argue, like back in the day, athletes didn't care about the attention and the fame, but it's different nowadays. Like you make so much more money and you can solidify your family's future for generations by just throwing up a bunch of pictures on Instagram and throwing up stupid videos on TikTok. Like that doesn't bother me.
I agree with you. The counter argument, and not that any young aspiring athletes need advice from me on how to be successful, but you know what builds your brand the best? Winning. Think of all the athletes with the biggest individual sports brands and images in any sport. Cristiano Ronaldo, Roger Federer, Rafael Nadal, Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, Tiger Woods. The connecting tissue with all of those players is not the interest they had in anything outside of their sport. It was that they won because people love winners.
No, that's true. But then if you go down to the next tier, there are athletes that their fame has surpassed their talent and they've gotten 100%. More out of it. Like Juju Smith-Schuster, right? Like he's the classic example.
he's a classic example too. Maybe he could have been or could be better if. And again, this is like the old man argument, and it does feel a little
Well,
bit
you are
like,
the old man of, I feel like, of the podcast.
yeah, it does feel a little bit like one of those. Well, why do they get to have all the fun? But I'd already be worried if an 18-year-old say, and not that this is a conversation or a thought that she's having, but if an 18-year-old told me, yeah, but if I'm not going to be Serena Williams, then the best thing for me is to be the 10th best player in the world, but to have the highest profile off the court. And I'd already be worried. Now you're the 50th best tennis player in the world. You've like instantly your mindset has just ruled out any future success on the court. And not saying that is what she's doing, but I would just, if I were a young athlete, if I were 18, I would just say for 2-3 years, all I'm going to try and make sure I do is get to that level or as close to it as I can. And then everything else will fall into place. It takes care of itself.
Now, real quick before we jump off the tennis, are you disappointed that Djokovic couldn't get the Grand Slam?
Yeah. I think I'm a bit torn, right? Because, and this is a discussion, I don't think Djokovic, he will go down as probably, he's going to win the most Grand Slams. He's going to hold that record without doubt. When all of them retire, he will be the one with the most. I don't think he's better. Roger Federer was a better tennis, or is a better tennis player than Djokovic, but it will get to a stage where Djokovic has. The reason why I'm disappointed for Djokovic is because he went for the Olympics. If he'd sat out the Olympics, I would have kind of felt as if, who are you really beating at the moment, aside from Nadal in the French Open? It's maybe not the best era of men's tennis with Federer kind of being out for the count right now, and a lot of your other rivals are all suffering from various injury issues. Team has struggled with injuries this season, and a lot of players have missed time. But the fact that he committed to the Golden Grand Slam and went to the Olympics, which probably has hurt him in his bid to win the US Open, because he did just look tired towards the back end of the US Open, and he probably would have been a lot better off just resting in August, not going and playing in extreme heat and humidity in Japan, and also playing doubles there while he was there too. I think because he went for it, I had to want him to win it.
Yeah. And I agree with you. That could have been his claim to be the best of that generation, because right now you have Nadal's claim is, I can't be beaten on one of the courts. Like, I am the most dominant player on a court ever. Federer's argument is, I was it for 10 years, like I was the best for the longest. Djokovic's would have been, I'm the only one to ever won a true Grand Slam. But now, that's gone away. And now he's just a player who's won just as many majors.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have that stamp. That would have been a great stamp to have.
And it's got to be disappointing, right? Because you do have to, as successful as he's been, and as much as he's won, and as much as he will go on to win before he retires, he might get another chance at this, but it's unlikely. And you got to be kicking yourself that such a big achievement fundamentally boiled down to one match. And not only could you not get it done, but you really didn't turn up. I mean, he was not good in the final. Medvedev was really good, so that has to be factored in. But a little bit like, that it's probably going to be one of those matches that stands out for Djokovic that he wishes he could play again when he retires.
And on that note, speaking of not showing up, AFC Richmond was demolished in the semifinals of the FA Cup on the newest episode of Ted Lasso. And I'm sorry that I did not say spoiler alert. If you had not seen the episode, you have now gotten it ruined for you.
Straight off the bat.
Right off the bat.
I think best episode so far.
Wow.
I enjoy it. Yeah.
Wow.
Of the season. The only things that really bothered me about this episode, they reacted to City beating Richmond 5-0 in the semifinal, as if, what a stunner. And the reality is, if Manchester City were playing a championship club in the semifinals of the FA Cup, a 3-goal win would be the like bare minimum.
Yeah.
So it's not a stunning result. Aside from that, and that is what it is. It's not supposed to be as we say every week, it's not some accurate representation of the world of football. I thought it was enjoyable. It did what it did in the first season. There was actual football. That the episodes get better when there's actually a match played over the course of the episode. There was more Ted Lasso. I did like the fact, not that this was intentional, but when the therapist was speaking about how Ted Lasso couldn't open up and about how he would deflect by making a joke and an obscure reference that only a middle-aged man from the Midwest would get. That was
Very
basically meta. It was our criticism of the show.
Yeah,
just
very.
how
I was like a
write
very
film.
meta. Like,
but I don't think that's what they were trying to do.
no, I
You see
think
what
they
mean?
were. I 100% think they were.
No,
I think
No.
that was a joke on what everyone says about the jokes that he has.
No, because Ted Lasso is having such a love fest at the moment that I don't think they have to respond to any criticism that might be out there. Unless some
I
of the
mean, I don't think
writers
that's
are-
such a criticism. I think it's just like,
From me, it's a criticism.
I think from a lot of other people, it's not so much a criticism. It's just almost a point of endearment where, all his jokes are these like really obscure 40 to 50-year-old white guy references, like dad jokes almost, but like super witty dad jokes almost.
Season 1, it was endearing. Season 2, it was the Family Guy formulaic. Okay, let's insert. He says something weird. People stare at him. He goes, "Oh, this is like weird reference to something from the 80s or early 90s," and then no one gets it, and we move on. But yeah, I'd say it was an enjoyable episode.
Yeah, and it was definitely, I mean, the darkest episode. It did not shy away from a lot of more serious topics, which is good to see, I think.
Yeah, the therapist
shows.
is an alcoholic.
Yeah, well, I mean, it got dark real quick when she just got demolished by a car. I mean,
Well, she did. Well, hold on.
We don't know.
Not the
Her
best
bike
sequence.
was pretty ruined.
She yelled as if she was, like they didn't really make sense. It cut to her face. She's cycling along, doing this weird thing where she's just insulting people while she cycles. I thought we won't even.
Who takes that bike and says, "Yeah, I look good on that bike"? No one in their right mind looks good on that bike. You look like such a dork.
But yeah, the sequence of cutting from her face and she yells, and then she's been demolished. But then she was fine. She just had a concussion. I mean, she was, not to make light of concussions, but she was fundamentally.
Although Ted Lasso did make light of CTE.
Yes. But it did get dark. You had the 3 dark aspects, right? You have her seeming alcoholism and struggling, like a midlife crisis, struggling to deal with it. Ted kind of making that worse by constantly pointing out the fact that she was alone, which obviously mirrors his own life a bit. Then the Jamie Tart punching his dad in the changing rooms after the match.
Now, I thought that was a really well done scene.
Yeah.
I thought that was good. I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I like that. And you got to see the side of Roy. That was nice. And then you got to see the side of Beard.
This is what bothers me. That should have been a revealing moment for Roy Kent. That should have been the moment where you saw the softer side of him. But they've spent the entire season showing us the softer side of him. So it's when you see the harder side of him now that it's more surprising. But
I still got a little bit of it though. You're right. It wasn't a huge reveal, but it was still a reveal for him because he's never been like that in front of the players. Yeah, even in season 2. And then you have obviously Ted's dad. The reveal of Ted's dad.
That he killed himself.
Yeah.
And then also you had even Coach Beard wandering off at the end.
Yeah, what was that about? Is that the last we see of Coach Beard? Is Coach Beard dead in next episode?
That also made me laugh because I do like the idea that post FA Cup semi-final, they walked outside of Wembley Stadium. It's empty, ghost town.
Wait,
people have
playing City as well.
Yeah, people have just sprinted away from Wembley Stadium, just ghost town. Then on top of it, he leaves wearing his Richmond gear, which they wear everywhere, and it seemingly never, you know what I mean? Like they're constantly all in Richmond gear. Go to the pub, Richmond gear. Go everywhere, Richmond. But he's just going to wander off to a pub around Wembley Stadium, in which there would be thousands, tens of thousands of celebrating City fans out drinking, and he's going to wander in as the assistant manager of the team they've just beaten in his gear, and yeah, I mean he's dead.
And the other part is they lost to City. It's not as if they lost to a crappy club. You know, it's not that shocking. If they were betting on this, City are 1-7 favorites.
Oh, maybe 1-10.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah,
you know, like
no, they treated.
Are you
it as
that
if they,
dark after that loss?
Yeah, no, you would have gone into it saying to each other, anything we get out of this is a welcome surprise.
But I am genuinely concerned that next episode, Coach Beard is gone. That was a really weird goodbye.
Yeah, it was. Again, it was another one of those that just didn't feel like it added anything either. Just the fact that he found that to be a tough loss, so he needs to go out drinking.
Either he's dead or Jane is murdered.
I mean, Wembley is also miles from Richmond, so that's not. I wish we had Sam around because obviously Sam lived next to Wembley Stadium. I mean, Sam must have been living. Sam must have had a view. Conceivably, could have had a view of when they were filming this.
He might be an extra and doesn't even know it.
No, it's true.
His flat could have been an extra.
They do a pretty good job of the CGI of the fans and stuff. Wembley looked awful though. Wembley looked.
All right, I have a few more on that. So the Wembley thing, when they walk into that stadium, I wish we were watching together because I would have bet the house that he put that Hoosiers reference in about how like it's the same place we always play, like measure the distances, it's the same. And I even would have been able to tell you he's going to say, I bet let's measure the field. It measures the same, doesn't it? And the joke's going to be, no, actually it doesn't. I saw that coming like 1,000 miles away. I wish there was a market to bet that.
Which is another interesting
thing. But it was a good joke because a lot of Americans don't know that.
But also English people watching it wouldn't have got the reference. So
it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. But no, that bit was good.
But my part about that I think is a little annoying is why is Jamie Tart, who 2 years ago is arguably one of the best up-and-coming players, so in awe of Wembley? He's clearly been in stadiums of that size. I mean, they were in the Premier League the year before, so they've seen stadiums that I know aren't Wembley size, but they're intimidating pitches, right? Like it's not as if they were playing on like a backyard field and now we're thrown into a stadium.
But Wembley's special. Like I do get that a little bit. He probably now the thing is he might have there's every chance he would have played at Wembley with City because either in the FA Cup or the League Cup he would have. I mean, but let's assume he hadn't done. I do get it that Wembley is special. It is different even than going to Old Trafford or Anfield. It's a little bit different. But yeah, no, I mean, I also like that they just walked out like 3 feet, looked at it, no, like walking around the actual pitch kind of, and then walk back in. I also, that weird coach's room they were in, just stay. Yeah, that was a bit strange, but no, I thought it was a good episode. But yeah, the overreaction. I also did the other thing that bothered me was the commentator. I think when City went 4-0 up or 5, it was the 85th minute.
Now it's over.
And yeah, it's like no, it was. No one is holding out hope. Oh, it's only 3-0 with 5 minutes to go. We've got a really good chance.
I mean, I really liked episode 2. I mean, these are like little nitpicky things. we talk about this every week. I don't know what they're trying to do with Nate and whether they want him to be a likable or a hateable character, because when they were doing that locker room thing and they were all admitting things, they were all really funny. Like, they were all good. I liked every one, what they admitted. It made sense. And then they go to Nate, and instead of him having a legitimate one, like, hey, I was a
No,
prick
there's
to the
only
people, he does the, I have a lot of great ideas and I pretend like they're spur of the moment. Like, that's such a douchey thing to say. You know, like,
there's only one
I
that
come up
didn't
with
make
really
sense.
great ideas.
The Brazilian right back comment makes no sense. The fact that they missed it because he messed up the time zones. The only time zone that would have mattered is the time zone he was in when you're signing a player. So that's the only one. Again, it's not supposed to be some accurate portrayal of the world of football, but that was the only one where, like, that doesn't make any sense what he thought. Brazil, which is, if anything, is behind. So you're never going to have, unless he's so dumb that he saw the time in Brazil and assumed that was the time where he was, which is like a level of idiocy that I can't even believe. But that was the only bit that didn't make a lot of sense. But
that,
I do agree with you.
like, that mess up is a slightly endearing mess up for Higgins. Like, that's something that, you know, like, you can see, like, oh, it's a Higgins.
Sure.
And then Coach Beard, like, oh, that's a Coach Beard. And then Nate, it's like, oh, Nate's still a prick. Like, you know, I didn't.
Although his was the only one, right, that you could apply to your real life. It's not necessarily the worst advice to pretend that to have a good idea and then save. Now, the only downside to that strategy, you might never get a good opportunity to share the idea. So you might be sitting on a winner and just be waiting for the moment. It never comes, or someone else says it before you. That's the other downside too.
But we are missing Sam, and it's unfortunate because I feel like Sam would have a very strong opinion about the B line of that, the B storyline of that episode, which is owner and player connecting. He
called it.
He did. Not only did he call it, but he has been very against it from the start. So I would love to hear his takeaway on the. I forget what her age was, but he was, what, 21? He said.
Which, no way. When he went 21, it was like, no, come on, 25.
No way. What? Oh, you think
no
he's
way
like 25?
Yeah, he does not give me the impression of having been a 21-year-old, but. I mean, she must be, again, do we look up the age of the actress and assume the character is the same age, what we did with Nate?
Let's just say, I'm going to say she's late 50s, 56. In
47.
the show. In the show,
Okay.
I think she's older. I think she's supposed to be older in the show.
Because Hannah Waddingham, who plays the character, is 47. So
I'm going to say, I think in the show she's over 50.
Okay.
Or let's say she's 50.
Dated.
Let's just say she's 50.
My issue with that is paparazzi would be all over it. I mean,
at her
owner
home.
of a football, well, at the restaurant.
Oh yeah,
owner of the football club and player on date. Okay, maybe they get to say afterwards it wasn't a date; it's the owner and a high profile player going out to talk. Still weird, but now also creepy move by him. The just being outside her door. It's the, like, looks good in a romantic comedy, looks psycho in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're texting. She has no idea he's there. She just sends him a message being like, so you have to think of the sequence that happened. She's in her kitchen. She sends a message saying, hey, where are you right now? And do you want to meet up? And then he says, my address is this. She sprints to get her stuff, opens the door, and he's just standing there.
And she loves it.
She loves it because it's a movie.
Yeah.
But if a TV show, and also she's into him. If she's not into him and she just opens the door and this guy who she's speaking to on a dating profile is just standing there, just being like, here I am.
It reminds me of, like, the things you see where it's Instagram versus real life. And, like, that's the That's the Instagram version, but in real life, she goes to get to her car, and he's like, "Hey!" and she like pepper sprays him.
Or just runs him over because he's like just waiting outside the.
That's the real life version. He gets pepper sprayed or run over, scaring her while she's getting in the car.
That's when Ted Lasso really got dark. I'm not gonna make the joke I want to make, but
where do they go from here? Does the show get darker, or does it start uplifting now? Like, is that the low, and then from here they kind of do that heartwarming, uplifting? There's life after all of this. You can recover from all these different things.
Oh yeah, because what they basically created, right, is that in order for Ted to be open to being helped by the therapist, he needs to be able to help her. Like, this is the situation. They are now going to, they've kind of got a symbiotic relationship where they will get what they need from each other so that they can both improve from a mental health standpoint. Clearly, that's what's going to happen. I have no idea what's going to happen with the romantic storyline aspect of it. I mean, it is unimaginable that a owner of a football club is dating one of the players. Unimaginable. But I don't know how. I mean, as a episode.
In most companies, that would be illegal, wouldn't it?
It's illegal, yeah. I would think it would still be illegal, even in football, but more complicated.
Yeah, and it also, for me, the other question is, does Ted Lasso have a romantic interest? Because that's going to have to happen for him to stay. Because otherwise, yeah, I mean, that's what I was thinking. Is it a therapist, or is it still the owner? Does she realize that she can't be with...
or the owner's friend, Stinky, not the one who
Stinky
calls
eyes,
her Stinky.
Stinky face,
the one who calls her Stinky or whatever. Who right there are now. Yeah,
because I feel that's the hook to keep him in England. Because otherwise, it's him going back to be with his family.
Yeah. Also, can we just say again? Thought it was best episode. Haircut scene. Weird. Just everything about it weird. I'm guessing it was making reference to something that I didn't get,
I didn't get the reference either. I'm sure it had to be something.
Assuming it was like some kind of mafia movie that I'm just not picking up on the reference. Just with the way they did the lighting and stuff, it just seemed like a kind of Godfather-esque moment, and I just wasn't picking up on exactly what the reference was.
I like the idea of mocking the haircut being so important with like Premier League players, because they really do.
And then
care
he just
so
has
much.
he has exactly the same haircut.
Yeah, just a little
exactly the same.
Just a little fresh cut on the sides.
Just a slightly shorter flat top, basically.
Yeah.
But also, Ted, sometimes the show doesn't need to beat us over the head with some of the points, and like Jamie Tart standing there, and then Sam's dad calling him and being like, "I could not be prouder of you, son." I almost went into an accent that was going to get me in big trouble.
I love you, Dad.
Yeah, exactly. On speakerphone while he's biking and reading a book in the gym. I mean, just a set of circumstances there. Like, but that he's standing there being like the father-son moment that everyone dreams of. The dad saying, I couldn't have, like, what an incredible achievement by you, son. And the son going, "Oh, I couldn't have done it without you. Oh, I love you. I love you too. You're my hero. You're my hero. Oh my God." And Jamie Tart, meanwhile, is like, "Oh." Yeah, it's like, you could have eased up a little bit on that and we would have all got it. But yeah, and Ohio State's surprising loss. We spoke about it coming into the season, right? How some teams had front-loaded schedules. I mean, is that the end of Ohio State's playoff hopes? Like, do you think they can make the playoffs now?
Maybe they might get a backdoor in on the 4 seed if they can run the Big Ten, because right now you have, I think, Iowa is ranked 5th and Penn State is ranked 10th, I believe. So if they can beat 2 top 10 teams, and you already have Clemson with a loss, you assume Alabama stays undefeated, will have to play Georgia. Maybe not completely out of it. They're the one team I think they still have a better shot than Clemson at this point, but not a good look for Ohio State. With the team that traditionally used to have a really solid defense, I mean, you're looking at, Chase Young, Okuda, a lot of first-round draft picks in the past few years. Their defense has, in the last year, was not as good as it was, and this year, although it's only one game, it did not look up to Ohio State level at all. I mean, it was bad.
Yeah, particularly in the first half when they just could not get a stop to save their lives. Kind of came into the game in the fourth quarter, but most of it just were not involved.
Now, the fan base that was loving it was obviously Michigan, who now think they have a chance to beat Ohio State. Do you know the last time Michigan beat Ohio State?
38 years ago.
No, 2011. That's funny. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy to see Iowa in the top 5. That's really surprising, and they've actually looked really good both games. So that will be interesting to see if they can keep that up. That would be a real underdog story there. But other than that, Giants playing Thursday night, so I get to get that out of the way, which is amazing. I get to watch the Giants lose and then have a full weekend to not have to worry about it.
Yeah, not the best Thursday night football game ever, but at least.
But I'd rather have shitty ones on Thursday anyway, because that's especially a tough one to watch. Because you're doing things. It's during the week. You might miss it a little bit. I mean, I'd rather have Sunday night be a good game.
I mean, I'm in Europe, so yeah, the Thursday night game kicking off at 2:15 in the morning my time. Yeah, I will put the Giants Washington game into the I will not stay awake to watch that one. In fairness, I didn't stay awake to watch the Raiders Ravens game, but I woke up in the fourth quarter. So I woke up. Time. Yeah, it was ideal, but who knows? Maybe I'll wake up at 4 a.m. on Friday morning, and the Giants and Washington will be 55 all. Yeah, every team is punting first down.
Daniel Jones 6 fumbles. All right, well, we'll be back Thursday for our picks.
Sam might not.
But he will fly in his picks. He has told us. He's first class.
He's had this before, so I'll read his picks out for him. He always loves when I do that.
Oh, that's very good. And we can decide why he's picking who he's picking.
Yeah.
Classic. All right, I'll talk to you later.